I broke through the carbonate, that's how I got free. Jabba back off because there's no stopping me. Postmodern player, sample-tastic, flows ekphrastic. I get drastic, hey, watch the plastic. Yo, I name check and leave you drastic.
Welcome to the MacGuffin Podcast, episode 139. I'm Spencer.
I'm Greg.
Today we're talking about one of our favorites, Jason Segel, a man, the myth, the legend. We're fans of him. Let's get that out of the way.
Yeah.
We're not going to hold any punches there.
No. Been a fan of him for a while.
Definitely a prolific career, even though it's been fairly short.
Yeah.
So we're not going to hit on everything. If there's something we miss, don't hate us on it. Tell us in the comments.
Please.
Or email us or tweet us. Or tweet us.
Tweet us?
Tweet us.
Tweet us.
Tweet us. Tweet us. Coming up with new verbs. We're going to start in sort of the smaller ones, and he's got some really interesting ones. He was in Can't Hardly Wait.
Yeah.
If you actually saw our top 5 party scenes,
Yep.
I actually include that scene with him.
with the watermelon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the first one we want to talk about is before he was a star, and that is SLC Punk.
Yes.
A fun film.
Very interesting. Fun is quite a misnomer,
Okay,
Spencer.
fun is not necessarily a very good film.
Yes.
Let's go there.
Yes.
Film starring Matthew Lillard about punks in Salt Lake City.
In the early 80s, I
Yes,
believe.
early 80s.
It's like
Exactly.
Reagan administration.
Yes. And sort of like, a punk trying to navigate this conservative world.
Yeah, this incredibly restrictive place and time.
And Jason Segel played a punk.
Yes.
Who was sort of one of his friends during this period. And the story actually is more sort of like, about a guy growing up.
Yeah.
And, sort of coming to terms with what it means to be an adult, how you sort of evolve as a punk during this time. And it's a really sort of interesting movie story. There's his friendship with a guy named Bob, played by Michael Gorgian.
Yes.
Gorgian, which is really heartfelt, moving relationship that greatly influences his evolution as an adult.
Needle Bob.
Needle
What they
Bob,
call
yes.
him,
They're
'cause
drug. They're
he
drug.
hates needles.
Well, they're dealing with this drug world in the 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, Devon Sawa plays a friend of theirs who gets completely destroyed by acid.
Yep. Very memorably entertaining scene.
And it's a really interesting movie. Sadly, the director James Marandino really hasn't had a lot of opportunities, and the ones that he has, really not that inspiring. Like in 2013, he has a film called Vampire Summer Camp coming out, which pretty much summarizes the rest of his
I hope
career.
it's SLC Punk 2, Vampire Summer Camp.
Sadly, as far as I know, not. I did an interview with Matthew Lillard, which I will try and get online by the time this is online.
From South by?
Yes,
Right?
from South by, in which we talk about some SLC Punk.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
And he really has fond memories of it because it is a
Understandable.
really interesting, different project.
And,
really good. Jason
such a
Segel
heartful-
parts is really interesting, sort of, as all these punk kids grow up, he is one of them that sort of grows up and goes elsewhere. And that has influence on Matthew Lillard. So,
And one of the better minor characters in the movie, in my opinion.
yeah.
He's great.
He's great. But this is before he sort of gained mainstream, or not even mainstream, gained some recognition for Freaks and Geeks.
Yes.
The Judd Apatow, Paul Feig series that was from, sadly, was it only one season, I believe?
Yes, I think.
99 to 2000, which amazing casting of people who would go on to be stars.
Yep.
Linda Cardellini was one of them. John Francis Daly, who's been on Bones for several years now. James Franco, Sam Levine, Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
Martin Starr, Busey Phillips. Amazing group of people.
Crazy amount of people.
You have real interesting. Judd Apatow directed 3 episodes. Paul Feig was sort of one of the creators.
Yeah.
I think the credited creator of the series, though
I
Judd
think
Apatow was immensely influential.
I think you're right.
on it.
Yeah.
Mike White was a writer on a lot of it. He was a producer as well. J. Elvis Weinstein of Mystery Science Theater.
Okay.
Was
Yes.
a writer and producer on as well. Interestingly enough, it was nominated for 2 different Emmys.
Wow.
Or 2 different years of Emmys. In 2000, it won Outstanding Casting. No
Nothing
surprise
like,
there.
Nothing like getting an Emmy after you're canceled.
Yeah. And that's 2001 probably.
Okay.
This is probably what was going on. Strangely enough,
yeah.
did nothing for it. It was also nominated for writing for Pulp Feig.
Wow.
Pilot. And in 2001, it was nominated for Outstanding Writing as well. for Paul Feig for Discos and Dragons.
Oh, such a good episode.
Interestingly enough, no Judd Apatow nominations for writing. As much as Judd Apatow is associated with the series,
Yes.
Paul Feig probably more should be the one associated with it.
Yeah, definitely.
Great series. Jason Segel plays the drummer in the band, sort of the misfit group, and
The eventual love interest of Linda.
Well, he falls for her.
Yes.
She's interested in James Franco.
Yes.
He's probably the better one because he really appreciates her, but sadly.
He also, this is where Jason Segel's fascination, fandom, fanaticism, and any other F words I can toss in there, with the band Rush made its first appearance.
Which will come back, actually, in some interesting points.
Yes, a couple times.
Yes, a couple times.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact. But we're going to skip forward because there's done a lot of stuff in between, undeclared, blah, 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 blah. But the next thing we want to talk about that is of major significance was How I Met Your Mother.
Yes.
Which actually, unbelievably, started back in 2005.
Wow.
Hard to believe.
Yeah, that it's been on that long.
Yeah,
Wow.
7 seasons so far, and I think it's at least got a couple more that they've committed to.
Wow.
This is a story of a guy who's telling his kids about How He Met Your Mother. One of the biggest teases in all of television, because going on 7 years now, and he hasn't
Even Lost didn't go that long.
didn't even go that long, and he hasn't even introduced the mother yet.
Yeah.
He keeps referencing things that reference her,
Yeah.
but she still hasn't been introduced as a character yet.
Yes.
And they haven't even introduced how he's actually met her yet.
Yes.
So,
Even though if you look online, I'm sure you can find some theories about
Yes.
an actress that is the mother.
interesting.
That's right. Google Foo.
And you've got strong Google foo. We'll say that.
now and then.
Again, amazingly cast show. Josh Radnor is the lead. Ted Mosby. You got Jason Segel and Allison Hannigan as a couple in it who are his best friends. You have Neil Patrick Harris as his other friend.
Barney.
Barney Stinson, who is amazing.
Yes.
Often steals the show, I would
Yeah,
say.
and I think was probably one of the reasons the show is so popular.
Yes.
is his
Without a
character,
doubt.
his character, in the same way that Kramer polarized Seinfeld fans.
Yes,
I think
yes.
definitely people.
And one of the surprises who was discovered, I guess, pretty much with the show was Kobe Smothers.
Yes,
Smothers,
that's right.
Who was going to be in The Avengers.
Yes,
Coming out in a couple weeks.
and Bob Saget plays
The narrator.
the
yes, Ted.
Adult Ted, yes.
Which is really interesting. And one of the other things I want to note with this show is that, okay, let's throw a few things down. Number one, Neil Patrick Harris has been nominated for 2 Golden Globes for his role, and a supporting role.
Okay.
Sadly, won neither of them.
Single tier.
It's had 20 Emmy nominations,
Whoa.
won a few, mostly technical.
Still, 20 ain't bad for 7 seasons.
Only actor Neil Patrick Harris has been nominated 4 times. Number of wins?
4. Oh,
Goose egg, 0.
oh,
Boo! That's
MPH, we love you.
You know, friggin' Sheldon or whatever from Big Bang Theory keeps probably
yeah.
beating him out. Though I guess he's supporting, so it's probably
I'm sorry
not
if
Sheldon.
people out there like Big Bang Theory. I do not.
But I guess that's probably lead. He's supporting. I don't know. Somebody's screwing him out there.
Yeah.
Rectify that situation. The other thing that I want to note, this is one of the most dedicated series directors of any show I've ever seen.
Really?
Usually you have a lot of people come in and direct shows. So far, in 156 episodes of the show, as far as I can tell, they've only had 3 directors.
Whoa.
They've had Michael Shea direct 3 episodes.
Okay.
They've had Rob Greenberg direct 7. Every other episode directed by Pamela Fryman.
Wow.
And she is definitely a well-known TV director. She's worked on things like 2.5 Men, Just Shoot Me, Frasier. But she has directed 140-plus episodes of the show. Crazy sauce to have that one person so strongly attached to a series. Good on you for that, because it's a good show. But
Clearly you got a good artistic eye.
yeah, but clearly I want I want more of the telling us who the mother is. That is what I want from this show.
So does everybody who wants to watch the show.
We're gonna continue on our progression forward to his next sort of, I guess, theatrical breakout, where he became sort of a guy who could carry a film, and that was Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Yes, as well as wrote, didn't he?
Yes, he
Like this?
wrote
Yes.
it, and it was directed by Nick Stoller, who
That's
is
right.
a guy who becomes very popular or common in his filmography. And it was produced by Judd Apatow from, relationship that's very strong there.
The Judd Apatow umbrella.
Yes.
So many people under it.
Nick Stoller you will recognize because he also directed Get Him to the Greek, which was co-written by Jason Segel by some of his characters, as well as directing the FiveYear Engagement, which we will talk about later. And he also was a co-writer on the Muppets.
Oh, wow.
So we'll get to that.
But yes, Forgetting Sarah Marshall is a great film.
Yes. It's about a guy who loses his girlfriend, Sarah Marshall, and heads to Hawaii to try and, clear his mind. And meets a girl and falls in love and whatnot.
And then coincidentally finds out his ex is also at the resort he's at.
Sadly.
Yes.
Tremendously funny film.
Yes.
I think highly underrated. I think
I agree.
underappreciated. Great casting. I mean, Russell Brand stole a lot of the scenes as All the Snow goes on to do great and Get Him to the Greek. Bill Hader, again, steals a lot of scenes when he's in there. I found this to be one of the first things that I found Mila Kunis really tolerable in.
Yeah, I would
found
agree
her
with that.
very difficult. She was good in Family Guy and stuff like that.
No, but yeah.
70s show I really disliked her on.
Yeah.
Really disliked her on. She was good in this. And Kristen Bell is wonderful actress, even though she's in a despicable role here.
It's kind of nice to see her in a despicable role, personally.
Yeah. A lot of dong being hung in this movie.
This was definitely, Jason Segel's like, screw it, I'll go full nudity.
Couple times.
Yeah.
So that's something to look forward to if you haven't seen it. Great puppet work in this movie.
Oh,
great musical composition.
Yes.
Both of which Jason Segel is a big fan of.
It's no surprise when you see this that he went on to do the Muppets. Yep. No surprise.
No surprise. One of another underappreciated films of his that I, again, really enjoy.
Same here.
I Love You Man.
Yes.
From director John Hamburg, who was the writer and producer, co-writer and producer of it, I should say. John Hamburg, kind of unfamiliar guy, kind of hit and miss, I should say. He was a director of a couple episodes of Stella, a couple episodes of Undeclared. Probably met Jason Segel there. And he also directed Along Came Polly. It's a little rough.
Yeah.
He was also one of the writers on Meet the Parents. He was also one of the writers on Little Fockers.
So a little Ben Stiller.
He was also one of the writers on Zoolander.
Oh.
So.
Yeah, but I mean that's kind of what happens when you get magnetically attached to Ben Stiller. You have some ups and you have some downs. I mean, you can't. For every Zoolander, you have a Little Fockers.
Yes.
So.
But this is the romantic comedy starring Paul Rudd and Jason Segel. About a guy played by Paul Rudd who basically has no friends. His wedding is approaching, and he doesn't know what to do about his best man.
Yeah, he doesn't even have a best man, let alone groomsman.
So he basically goes out on a quest to find a best friend and meets Jason Segel in the process, and they develop a little relationship.
This is pretty much the reason most of us know the word bromance.
Yeah,
this was the movie that really kind of popularized that term, even though it's not used. I don't even know if it's used much in the movie. I know it was really used a lot in the marketing when they were trying to talk about this movie.
And I don't know why this film wasn't more popular than it was. I mean,
I don't get it.
Maybe because it wasn't quite so gross. Maybe because it was. I really don't understand. Maybe I don't know. Maybe just a lot of guys thought it was going to be less funny than it was, more outrageous.
I don't know. I think it's a great movie. I love the band Rush, and again, this is incarnation of that.
Paul Rudd and Jason Segel play guys who are huge fans of Rush, who go see Rush in the movie.
They like play like in the garage, their little man cave, play Rush songs.
And I just think everyone's charming in this movie. I think Rashida Jones as Paul Rudd's fiance is great.
Yeah.
What's his name? The Incredible Hulk.
Mark Ruffalo?
No, the TV one.
Lou Ferrigno.
Lou Ferrigno was great in his little cameo role in the movie.
I was like, Ruffalo's not in this.
No. Yeah, Lou Ferrigno has a funny cameo role in it.
I think in the same way that I don't know what it is about I Love You Man, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and to a certain extent, Get Him to the Greek, but I think all three of those comedies are really quite underrated for how actually funny they are. Whether they're incredibly unique or world-breaking or, pull in people and are marketable, all three of those movies are legitimately very funny.
I agree. I totally agree with you on that. And interestingly enough, Jason Segel has done a lot of things, writing, music, acting, whatnot, producing. Only thing he really hasn't seemed to go into yet, and I don't know if he ever has interest in it, is directing. But the only thing he's credited for directing is a short called Jason Segel and Paul Rudd Meet Rush.
Yes. Which I've seen.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
So there you go.
Yes.
There's that Rush coming back for a third time.
And in said short, Neil Peart corrects them for saying his last name wrong.
Oh. I'm sure that hurt as a fan for Jason Segel. So I'm
Probably
sorry.
planned, but
Sorry
still funny.
Jason Segel is a versatile guy, though, and the next interesting time he popped up was in Despicable Me.
Which blew me away because I just saw it like a month ago.
It's a very, very funny film.
I didn't realize till the credits that it was him.
He plays Vector, the foible.
Yes, the
of,
other villain.
Steve Carell is the lead. Gru.
Yes.
Who is trying to get
The moon.
He's trying to get the moon so he can be in the supervillain.
I think he just wants to be the top supervillain, or he needs a bank loan.
Yes.
That's what it is. They're out of money. He needs a loan. He has to do a big heist to prove that he's worthwhile of the loan, but Vector shows up and is doing bigger heists.
Yes. And so he's sort of trying to one-up Vector, but Vector keeps one-upping him. And this is directed by Pierre Coffin and Chris Renaud.
Okay.
Who really don't know from much. Pierre Coffin is pretty much Despicable Me and hasn't really done anything before, and he's doing stuff since then. He's basically Despicable Me 2 is the next thing. And Chris Renaud really, I guess, gained his first notoriety from a short called No Time for Nuts, which was an Academy Award nominated short. Since this, he's done The Lorax. That was him. So moderate success there, but great film.
Yes.
Very funny, kind of heartfelt film in terms of the relationship Gru develops with these girls he adopts during the movie for the purpose of getting into Vector's complex.
This is one of those movies that did a good job at breaking up what seemed like a rather simple plot or story with side characters and other silly things like his whole minions.
Yes, the
minions are
popular.
they're like an entire part of the movie that breaks away from things like his whole Russell Brand, the Dr. Nefario, his mad scientist,
and it feels so good. And Will Arnett is the bank loan guy. But it's a funny film.
Yes.
I definitely think it came out in a tough year.
Yeah.
I think How to Train Your Dragon and Toy Story 3, I believe, came out the same year. So it was a tough year for it to come out,
but it's worthwhile.
But it's great. It definitely. I'm glad they're making a sequel to it. I can't wait to see what they do with that.
I mean, as I've said many times, I'm generally kind of on the kids animated movies, but taking your advice, I saw this pretty recently, and I was very, very happy I did.
Returning to the world of Muppetdom, we have the Muppets from last year, which was, co-written by Jason Segel and starring Jason Segel. The triumphant return of the Muppets to the big screen after a decade, I believe, or so of being away. Muppets in Space was what?
99.
99, so more than a decade, basically.
Because the other ones don't count because they were direct to video.
And they sort of reinvigorated the Muppet franchise. He had long, he had Muppets and Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and he's long said he's a huge Muppet fan. And so as soon as he had some success, he said he would resurrect the Muppet franchise. And sure enough, he got to do that, along with Nick Stoller as his co-writer. There was early rumors that Nick Stoller was going to direct it. Ultimately, it went to James Bobbin, who had done the LAG stuff, as well as some Flight of the Conchords stuff. Very talented guy as well.
Brett McKenzie from Flight of the Conchords did the music.
Yes, won Academy Award for it.
Which is kind of awesome, but also sad because there ended up being like 2 nominees for Best Song.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous, but what you gonna do? You take it where you can get
it.
Had a great group of actors in the movie doing cameos. I mean, Jack Black did a good job. Rashida Jones reunited again.
Chris Cooper playing the villain.
Yeah,
Amy Adams.
Very funny. Amy Adams, I love Amy Adams,
Yes.
and it was great to see her in sort of a fun role to get some recognition because she's largely, unfortunately, forgotten in a lot of the work she does, and she is always wonderful. And
Agreed.
I can't wait to see, when they do the next Muppet movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a foregone conclusion at this point. Since
Yeah, I think
this was so successful.
Segel's already said he's not going to be in it, I think.
Ooh.
I don't know if that doesn't mean he's going to be not going to be involved in working, but I don't think he's actually going to be
interesting.
in it.
I wonder what that means. Is he a Muppet or a man? I don't know.
Who knows?
But great movie. If you haven't seen it yet, you absolutely should.
Please do.
The DVD is out now, and if you get it, you get the soundtrack as well.
Yep.
So if that doesn't sell you on it, I don't know what does. Good quality entertainment and music that won awards.
Come on, people.
Come on, as Job would say. One other thing which I've been banging the drum for a while now, though I haven't really actually, I don't know, spoken so much about it directly on the podcast, is Jeff Who Lives at Home. We've talked about it in a little bit here and there. We actually talked about the Duplass brothers when it was coming out. But I am a huge fan of this movie. Story of a guy who is sort of obsessed with the concept of fate and what is sort of meant for him, and he sets out on this journey to find a guy named Kevin after he receives a wrong number about it.
Oh, okay.
And that leads him on this sort of series of bizarre events that sort of connect him with his mom and brother, who's somewhat estranged from in some ways.
Played by Ed Helms and Susan Sarandon, respectively.
Correct.
Or I should probably put that the other way around. Susan Sarandon, Ed Helms, because Ed Helms doesn't play the mother.
Right.
Even though that might be interesting.
And they both are going through difficulties in their lives as well, and it sort of all this comes together at this one beautiful intersection. I love the film. I think Jason Segel has a really sweet balance of humor and drama, as do all the characters. And I think it's personally one of my favorite performances of his, since it's not like crazy over the top comedy.
Yeah.
It really allows him to act.
Oh wow!
And
whoa, actors acting.
Yeah. Crazy. And you got crazy small roles for like people like Ray Dong Chong. Who knew she was still around?
Not me.
And it's actually pretty decent. It was produced by Jason Reitman, who I'm a huge fan of. It's not making a ton of money. It's a small film. But
maybe it doesn't need much.
Maybe it's $7 million budget.
Okay.
I just want to continue to bang that drum so people can check it, because it's a really, really good film. And I want the Duplass brothers to get more money so they can do more stuff. So go check that out. Still in theaters probably at this point.
Yeah, I think I just saw it on a marquee not too long ago.
Yeah,
maybe like a week ago.
Excellent film. Excellent work, Jason
Spencer
Segel on
says
that.
yay.
Spencer does say yay. Which brings us to now the FiveYear Engagement, coming out this Friday, April 27th.
Yep.
Stars Jason Segel and Emily Blunt,
who is everywhere now.
Everywhere
She's
now.
Just blowing up.
Yep. As a couple who are preparing to get married when she receives a college
grant, scholarship, job offer. I forget exactly.
Internship, something, which make them delay the wedding by a few years. Ultimately, another thing comes out of it. They have to delay it, and it sort of like highlights the highs and lows of a couple.
Of the time between proposing and getting married.
Yeah. And, all the family troubles and friends and whatnot there in between. Looks fun. I love Jason Segel and I love Emily Blunt. I can't wait to see what they do with it. Directed by Nick Stoller. Co-written by Jason Segel as well. Produced by Judd Apatow. Coming all together
Under that umbrella again.
Yeah. You got great supporting actors. Alison Brie. Community. Love her.
Mad Men.
Rhys Ifans, the lizard in the new Spider-Man movie.
Yep.
Chris Pratt killing it on Parks and Recreation.
What?
Chris Parnell, who's got to be one of the best actors on television these days, comedic actors.
Yes.
As Dr. Leo Spaceman on 30 Rock and on Archer.
Cyril Figgis from Archer.
Yep. And Kevin Hart, who I just think is a funny guy.
Yeah, he really is. I'm glad he's getting more work.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to checking out. I will be seeing it opening weekend, no doubt. No doubt. Let us know what you think of it and Jason Segel at MacGuffinPodcast.com. Hopefully you'll join us in episode 140, where we talk about Richard Linklater in honor of Bernie. And you can let us know your thoughts about this and everything at MacGuffinPodcast.com, Twitter.com/MacGuffinCast, Facebook.com/MacGuffinPodcast, phone number 323-761-9842.
Yes.
And find us at iTunes, Boop.tv, Roku, Miro. You can check in at GetGlue at MacGuffinPodcast.com/GetGlue and leave us iTunes reviews on these videos or our audio podcast as well. We'd appreciate that.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time, I guess. Ciao.
T-1000 can't stop me. I'm on fire tonight. Magneto can't stop me. I'm on fire tonight. Even Zod can't stop me. I'm on fire tonight. It's tight. Don't even try to buy the side style. Mr. Spock can't stop me. I'm on fire tonight. The Wrath of Khan can't stop me. I'm on fire tonight. The Borg can't stop me. I'm on fire tonight. Because I've got space game and it feels alright.